My parents forced me to pay rent and cover all the bills while my sister lived for free. It's your duty, Dad insisted. But then I overheard them bragging about their secret vacation, funded by me. When they returned home, the house was empty. On the table lay a single envelope detailing exactly where every dollar of their scheme had gone. And who the new owner of the house was. They say blood is thicker than water, but my family used that bond like a twisted financial weapon, draining my future dry while living a secret life of luxury. For 3 agonizing years, I was their unsuspecting victim, their personal ATM, until one shocking discovery finally shattered my illusion of family and forced me to fight for my own freedom. I remember staring at my bank account, a sickly knot tightening in my stomach. $2,000. That's all that was left after paying this month's mortgage, utilities, and my sister's latest emergency car repair. I should have known better, honestly. Pearl always said she'd pay me back, and she never, ever did. My name's Grace, and at 26, my life was the exact opposite of every post-college dream I'd ever had. Instead of my own city apartment or traveling the world, I was stuck in my childhood bedroom, working 2 soul-crushing jobs, and somehow, bankrolling my entire family's existence. Grace. My mother's voice, a familiar, saccharine call, drifted up the stairs. The electricity bill is due tomorrow. I already paid it, Mom. I called back, my thumb flying across my phone screen, minimizing the banking app. Another $3,000 gone, just like that. I hadn't even bought myself new work shoes, despite the gaping holes in the soles. Mom appeared in my doorway, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the frame. Oh, good girl. We're so lucky to have you. I don't know what we'd do without you helping out during these hard times. Hard times, right? That's what they'd said when I first moved back home after graduation. Just until we get back on our feet, Dad had promised. 6 months, tops. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of hard times that only seemed to apply to my bank account. My phone buzzed. A text from Pearl. OMG, sis. Look at these shoes I just got. Only $300. I clicked the image. Christian Louboutin, her 3rd pair this month. How? Her part-time job at the mall barely covered her phone bill, yet somehow, she always had money for shopping sprees and weekend trips with her friends. How can you afford those? I texted back, a bitter taste in my mouth. Don't be such a buzzkill. I got a bonus at work. A bonus, sure. Grace. Mom again. Your father needs to talk to you about the property taxes. I trudged downstairs, my shoulders heavy. Dad was at the kitchen table, buried in papers, his reading glasses low on his nose. We're a bit short this quarter, he said, not even looking up. About 4,000. Dad, I can't, I pleaded, my voice thin. I'm already stretched so thin. Family helps family, he cut me off, finally meeting my eyes. That old familiar glint of manipulation. Your mother and I gave up everything to put you through college. This is just temporary, you know that? The same old guilt trip. My blood boiled. I wanted to scream that I'd paid for college myself with loans I was still paying off, but the words died in my throat. Instead, I just nodded, defeated. I'll transfer the money tomorrow. That's my girl. He smiled, already turning back to his papers. Oh, and the roof needs fixing before winter. Start setting aside for that, too. I escaped to the back porch, needing air, needing to breathe. My coworker, Rachel, had invited me to happy hour, but I declined. Again. Every spare dollar, every waking moment, went to keeping this house afloat while my parents cried poverty. My phone buzzed. Another text from Pearl. Having the best sushi ever. Wish you were here. A photo of her, all smiles, at some upscale downtown restaurant, surrounded by friends and expensive plates of food. My dinner would be whatever sad scraps I could find in the kitchen, a kitchen I also stocked. I was about to head back inside when I heard my parents' voices, clear as day, drifting through the open window above me. They were on speakerphone with someone. Yes, we've got it all arranged, Mom was saying, her voice brimming with excitement. 2 weeks through the Mediterranean. The cruise line even upgraded us to a suite. My heart stopped. What? That's wonderful, a woman's voice I didn't recognize replied. When do you leave? Next month, Dad chimed in, equally thrilled. We figured after all these years of pinching pennies, we deserved something special for our anniversary. I froze, my blood running cold. Pinching pennies? What about the kids? The woman asked. Mom laughed, a light, carefree sound that shredded my nerves. Pearl's too busy with her social life to notice. And Grace? Well, Grace will be here taking care of the house like always. She's such a responsible one. You raised her well, the woman said. We did, Dad agreed. Sometimes I feel a bit guilty about how much we rely on her, but she's young. She can always make more money later. I stood there, rooted to the spot, a sickening wave of disbelief washing over me. A Mediterranean cruise. A sweet upgrade. All while I ate ramen for dinner and put off getting a cavity filled because I couldn't afford the copay. My hands trembled as I pulled up my phone, opening my banking app again. $2,000. That's what was left of my life. While they planned luxury vacations behind my back, something inside me snapped. My whole body felt numb, except for a burning sensation in my chest that grew with each word they spoke. The house account has more than enough, Mom was saying. We can even do those extra excursions in Greece. The house account. The same account they claimed was barely covering property taxes and repairs. The same account I'd been pouring thousands into every month. And Pearl's coming shopping with me next week to pick out some new clothes for the trip, Mom continued. She has such great taste. I heard footsteps approaching the window and quickly pressed myself against the wall, trying to control my ragged breathing. Through the glass, I could see Mom pacing, phone to her ear. No, Grace won't suspect anything. She never checks the account statements, just transfers money in like clockwork. My legs finally decided to work. I slipped back inside through the kitchen door, my heart hammering against my ribs, and crept upstairs, careful to avoid the creaky steps. Once in my room, I opened my laptop. My hands were shaking so badly I almost fumbled the keyboard as I logged into the joint account I shared with my parents, the one they'd insisted I needed for household emergencies. 3 years of statements. That's what I started downloading, clicking through each month. The truth was there, in black and white, mocking me. Spa days. Designer clothes. Weekend getaways. All while I skipped doctor's appointments and worked overtime at my second job, convinced we were struggling. My phone buzzed. Rachel from work, you sure you can't make it tonight? We miss you. I started typing a response when another memory hit me. Last month, that terrible toothache. Mom, I need to get this cavity filled, I told her, but I'm short on cash after paying the property taxes. Oh, honey, we're all making sacrifices, she'd replied. Your father and I haven't had a vacation in years. I checked the statements. 2 days after that conversation, a charge for a day spa. $300 for a couple's massage package. A knock at my door made me jump. Grace? It was Pearl. Can I borrow your black dress? The designer one? I don't have any designer dresses, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Sure you do. Mom said she bought you one for Christmas. I frowned. Mom didn't get me anything for Christmas. She said money was too tight. Oh, Pearl's voice faltered. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. After she left, I dug deeper. There it was. A charge from Nordstrom on December 23rd. A dress in my size that I'd never, ever seen. My phone buzzed again. Rachel, seriously, come out tonight. You sound stressed in your texts lately. I stared at her message for a long moment. Actually, yeah, I typed back. I could use a drink. Be there in 30. At the bar, Rachel took one look at my face and ordered shots. Spill, she said. What's wrong? I told her everything. The cruise. The secret shopping. 3 years of lies. By the end, I was gripping my glass so hard I thought it might shatter. Grace, Rachel said slowly, her eyes wide. That's financial abuse. It's family, I replied automatically, then stopped. How many times had they used that word to control me? No, Rachel shook her head, firmly. It's exploitation, and it needs to stop. Back home that night, sleep was impossible. Around midnight, I heard movement downstairs. Curious, a cold dread twisting in my gut, I crept down to investigate. Mom was in Dad's office, rifling through his desk. She pulled out a folder and started taking photos of the documents inside with her phone. What are you doing? I asked from the doorway. She jumped, nearly dropping her phone. Oh, Grace, honey, you scared me. I was just looking for some old tax forms, at midnight. Well, you know me, night owl. She laughed nervously. Go back to bed, sweetie. I waited until she left, then checked the folder she'd been photographing. Inside was a stack of papers with my signature on them. Joint responsibility agreements. Loan documents. Credit applications. All dated from right after my college graduation. My hands shook violently as I read through them. According to these papers, I wasn't just responsible for the house payments. I was legally tied to all sorts of debts I knew nothing about. One document caught my eye, a student loan transfer form. Next to my signature was a note, transfer to Pearl Ryan Boutique Startup Fund. They'd used my student loan money to fund Pearl's failed clothing store venture. The one they told me had been financed by an inheritance from our aunt. A lie. Another devastating lie. I heard Mom's bedroom door close upstairs. Carefully, I took photos of every single document, then returned them exactly as I'd found them. Back in my room, I created a new email folder, labeled it Evidence, and started uploading the photos. Then, I opened my browser and typed, "How to legally separate yourself from family finances." It was time to start planning my escape. The next morning, I called in sick to both jobs and drove across town to a small accounting office. My hands were sweating as I walked in, clutching my folder of photos and documents. "Grace. Is that really you?" Valeria looked exactly as I remembered her from high school, sharp eyes behind stylish glasses, silver-streaked hair in a neat bun. She'd been our family accountant for years, until she suddenly retired right after my college graduation. "I need your help," I said, sitting down across from her desk. "And I need to know why you really stopped working with my parents." She studied my face for a long moment. "Close the door." I did, then spread out the documents. Valeria's expression darkened as she looked through them. "I always wondered if they'd go through with it," she muttered. "Go through with what?" She pulled out a file from her cabinet. 3 years ago, your parents came to me with a proposal. They wanted to transfer all their debts to your name. Loans, credit cards, everything. Said it was temporary, just until they got back on their feet. I refused to help them do it. Told them it was unethical. They fired me the next day." She looked up sharply. "But clearly, they found someone else who would." "What about Pearl's boutique? The student loan transfer?" Valeria's face hardened. "That money was meant for your graduate school. Your parents swore you'd agreed to give it to Pearl instead." "I never," my voice cracked. "I didn't even know I had graduate school money." "There's more," Valeria said quietly. She pulled up some files on her computer. "Your parents opened several credit lines in your name. They used your social security number, probably from these documents you signed." She turned the screen toward me. The total liability, the number made my vision blur. Over $100,000. "I'm going to be sick," I whispered. "No," Valeria said firmly. "You're going to be smart. I'm going to help you fix this, but you need to act fast." For the next 2 hours, we made plans. Valeria showed me how to freeze my credit, dispute unauthorized accounts, and document everything. She even called a lawyer friend who specialized in financial fraud. "What about the house account?" I asked, a sudden surge of protectiveness over my remaining funds. "Transfer your portion out immediately. They've been using your contributions for personal expenses. That money legally belongs to you." My phone buzzed. A text from Pearl. "Mom's taking me shopping for cruise clothes. Want to come?" I ignored it. My focus was elsewhere. "I need somewhere to live," I told Valeria. "They can't know I'm leaving until I'm gone." "I might know someone," she said, reaching for her phone. "A client of mine owns apartments across town. He's discreet." 20 minutes later, a man named Kingsley arrived. He looked more like a surfer than a landlord, with tousled hair and friendly eyes. Valeria explained the situation. "I have a 1-bedroom available," he said. "It's small but secure, and I can offer you a reduced rate if you help manage some tenant communications." "When can I move in?" I asked, hope blossoming in my chest. "Today, if you need to." Tears pricked at my eyes. "Thank you." Back home that evening, I found Mom in the kitchen making dinner. The smell of her famous lasagna filled the air. My favorite meal. My stomach turned. "There's my hard-working girl," she beamed. "I made your favorite." "Oh, and honey, the property tax bill came today." "I'll take care of it tomorrow," I said automatically, heading upstairs. In my room, I opened my laptop and started making lists: bank accounts to close, bills to cancel, items to pack, a new email address to create. A knock at my door made me quickly minimize everything. Pearl bounced in, holding shopping bags. "Look what Mom bought me for the..." She stopped abruptly, eyes widening. "For the what?" I asked quietly, my gaze piercing. Her. For the work conference next month, she laughed nervously. Anyway, I got you something, too. She pulled out a cheap scarf from one of the bags. The price tag, $12.99, was still on it. Meanwhile, I could see the edge of a designer dress box peeking out of another bag. Thanks, I said flatly. After she left, I added another item to my list, forward all mail to new P.O. box. My phone buzzed with a text from Kingsley. Apartment ready when you are. Key under mat. I looked around my childhood bedroom, at the walls that had witnessed so many lies. In 2 weeks, my parents and Pearl would leave for their secret cruise. They had no idea they'd come back to an empty house and a daughter who'd finally learned the truth about family. I opened my banking app and started moving money. Are you sure about this? Rachel asked, helping me load another box into her car. Once you start, there's no going back. I'm sure, I said, checking that my bedroom window blinds were still closed. It was 5 a.m., and my family wouldn't be up for hours. Just 2 more boxes today. We'd been moving my belongings in small batches for a week now, clothes, books, important documents, anything I could sneak out without raising suspicion. The rest would have to wait for moving day. Your new place is cute, Rachel said as we unloaded at Kingsley's apartment building. Small, but cute. It's mine, I replied, and my voice cracked on the word. Actually, mine. Back home, Mom was in the kitchen when I walked in. Where were you so early? Morning run with Rachel, I said, the lie coming easily now. Getting back in shape. Good for you, she beamed. Oh, speaking of exercise, I need your credit card for a moment. The gym membership renewal is due. Can't you use yours? Her smile tightened. You know money's tight right now, sweetie. Just until next month. I handed over my card, knowing full well she'd use it for cruise expenses. But it didn't matter anymore. This card would be cancelled in 2 weeks. At work, I took my lunch break to visit the bank. I need to close all joint accounts, I told the manager, my voice firm. And open new ones at a different bank. Family accounts? She asked, typing. Not anymore. That afternoon, I created a spreadsheet of every bill I'd paid, every loan I'd covered, every emergency I'd funded. 3 years of financial records, meticulously documented. The grand total made me feel sick. My phone buzzed. Pearl, Dad says the roof is leaking in my room. Can you call the repair guy? Pretty please. I ignored it. Let them figure it out themselves for once. That evening, I heard Mom and Dad discussing their upcoming trip in their bedroom. Grace seems distracted lately, Mom said. Do you think she suspects anything? How could she? Dad replied, a dismissive chuckle in his voice. She never questions anything we tell her. Besides, we'll be back before she knows it. I gripped the stair railing so hard my knuckles turned white. The next morning, I took another sick day and met with the lawyer Valeria had recommended. They committed fraud, she said, reviewing my documents. Multiple counts. We can press charges. I don't want that, I said. I just want out. Then let's make sure you get out clean. She started drafting papers. No legal ties. No shared accounts. No way for them to touch my money again. Back home, I found Mom in my room, going through my desk drawers. What are you doing? I asked from the doorway. She jumped. Oh, just looking for that recipe I gave you last month. The one for lasagna. But I saw her slip something into her pocket. Later, I checked my desk. My newest bank statement was missing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs for water and found Pearl sprawled on the couch, online shopping on her phone. Want to split an Uber Eats order? She asked. I'm craving sushi. She laughed. Why so stingy? It's just food. I wanted to scream that it wasn't just food. It was 3 years of my life, my dreams, my future. Instead, I just went back upstairs. The next day, I met Kingsley to finalize the apartment details. Moving trucks booked for the 15th, he said. Day they leave for their trip. Perfect. I handed him an envelope. First and last month's rent. You know, he said, his friendly eyes serious, what they did to you, it's not okay. I know that now. When I got home, there was a thank you card from Pearl on my bed. Thanks for house sitting while we're away. Love you lots. I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet one last time. Added a few final entries. Mom's secret spa day, $400. Pearl's emergency car repair, $2,000. Dad's golf club membership, $1,500. Their Mediterranean cruise, priceless. 2 more days until they left. 2 more days of pretending everything was normal. 2 more days until I took back my life. I looked around my nearly empty room, at the bare walls and packed boxes hidden in my closet. Soon this would all be just a memory. An expensive lesson in what family shouldn't be. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, everything ready for Operation Freedom? I smiled and typed back, almost. Waiting for them to leave so I can make my grand exit. I watched from my bedroom window as the Uber pulled away from our house, carrying my family to the airport. Mom had kissed my cheek. Dad had reminded me about the bills. And Pearl had waved excitedly from the backseat. None of them knew it was the last time they'd see me in this house. The moment their car turned the corner, I pulled out my phone. "They're gone," I texted to Rachel and Kingsley. Within 15 minutes, a moving truck pulled up outside, right on schedule. "Morning," the driver said, checking his clipboard. "Grace, that's me." I opened the front door wide. "Everything's packed and labeled. Let's do this fast." I'd spent the last 2 weeks meticulously organizing my exit. Every box was marked, every item catalogued. The movers worked efficiently, carrying out my life piece by piece while I supervised. "What's this?" One of them held up a stack of papers I'd left on the kitchen table. "That stays," I said quietly. "It's their parting gift." The envelope contained everything. Bank statements showing their secret purchases, credit card bills revealing their lies, loan documents they'd forged my signature on. And on top, a letter I'd spent hours writing, "Dear Mom, Dad, and Pearl, * by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Here's a detailed account of everything you've taken from me over the past 3 years. * total household expenses, $48,762 emergency loans, $31 for 50 Pearl's boutique, my stolen student loan, $25,000 unauthorized credit cards in my name, $44, 200 your Mediterranean cruise, $12,000 grand total, $161 for 12, * don't bother trying to contact me. All shared accounts are closed. All automatic payments are stopped. The house is your responsibility now, just like it always should have been. Enjoy your cruise, * Grace." I'd added copies of their social media posts, Mom's spa day check-ins, Pearl's shopping hauls, Dad's golf club photos, all time-stamped on days they'd claimed to be broke. The movers finished in just under 2 hours. I did one final walkthrough of my bedroom, making sure I hadn't forgotten anything important. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom, "Boarding soon. Don't forget to water my plants." I deleted it without responding. In the kitchen, I laid my house key next to the envelope. Then I pulled out another set of documents, these ones from Valeria and the lawyer. Official notices of account closures, credit freezes, and fraud alerts. They'd know exactly how thoroughly I'd cut ties. "Ready to go?" Rachel asked from the doorway. She'd come to drive me to my new apartment. Almost. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app one last time. Every account I shared with them had been drained, legally, since my name was on them. The money was now safely in my new private account at a different bank. I took a deep breath and started blocking numbers. Mom. Dad. Pearl. All their social media accounts. Email addresses. Everything. Now I'm ready. The drive to my new apartment felt surreal. Behind us, the moving truck followed with my belongings. 3 years of indentured servitude packed into cardboard boxes. "They're going to lose their minds," Rachel said. "They're going to lose a lot more than that," I replied, a chilling calm settling over me. "They can't afford that house without me. Or their cars. Or Pearl's shopping habits." At the apartment, Kingsley was waiting to help us unload. "Welcome home," he said, handing me my new keys. It took another 2 hours to get everything inside. My furniture looked different in the smaller space, but it felt right. This place was mine. Really, truly mine. "Want us to stay?" Rachel asked as the moving truck pulled away. "Help you unpack?" I shook my head. I need to do this part alone. After they left, I sat on my new couch and pulled out my phone. No messages yet. They were probably still in the air. But soon the notifications would start. I opened my email and sent 4 pre-written messages to their utility companies, service cancellation notice, to their credit card companies, fraud alert, to their bank, account closure confirmation, to their mortgage company, removal of my name from all documents. Then I blocked every single company email address. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Pearl, about to take off. Thanks for watching the house. Best sister ever. I took a screenshot of the message, added it to my evidence folder, and finished blocking her number. Then I walked to my new kitchen, poured myself a glass of wine, and smiled. They had 2 weeks of luxury ahead of them. I had a lifetime of freedom. 3 days into my new life, Rachel forwarded me a screenshot from Pearl's Instagram story. Can't reach my sister. Anyone know if she's okay? Starting to worry. I laughed darkly. They must have just discovered the envelope. Your mom tried calling the office today, Rachel texted next. I told her, you don't work here anymore. She didn't take it well. My phone had been blowing up with blocked calls and messages for the past 24 hours. I'd gotten a new number but kept the old one active to document their attempts to contact me. Later that afternoon, Valeria called. They're trying to access the house account, she said. The bank denied them. Your documentation of unauthorized spending worked. They're locked out. Good, I said, unpacking another box in my kitchen. How bad is it for them? Bad. The mortgage payment bounced this morning. And those credit cards they opened in your name? I've got the fraud department investigating. My hands shook slightly as I placed mugs in the cabinet. Any legal threats yet? They can't make any. The evidence is too clear. She paused. But Grace, Pearl posted something concerning on social media about coming back early to fix things. I checked Pearl's Instagram. Sure enough, there was a new story. Cutting our trip short. Family emergency. Can't believe what's happening. So unfair. An hour later, my old coworker, Maria, messaged me. Your mom's here at the coffee shop telling everyone you had a mental breakdown and stole their money. Want me to set the record straight? No, I replied. Let them dig their own grave. That evening, I got an email from an unfamiliar address. It was Dad, writing from his work account. Grace, what you've done is unforgivable. We're your family. We gave you everything. Your mother is in tears. Pearl had to cancel her semester abroad. How could you be so selfish? The least you can do is answer our calls. I forwarded it to my lawyer without responding. The next day, Pearl's posts turned nasty. PSA, watch out for toxic family members who pretend to care about you but are just waiting to stab you in the back. Rachel sent me more screenshots. Mom had joined local Facebook groups, posting about her mentally unstable daughter who needed help. The comments were full of sympathetic responses until someone who knew the truth started posting receipts of their spending. The post disappeared within hours. A week into my disappearance, Kingsley texted, "Heads up. Your parents were asking about you at the building next door. They're getting desperate." I'd been expecting this. They'd try every apartment complex in the area, thinking I couldn't afford to live far from my old jobs. That afternoon, I got another email, this time from Mom. "Sweetie, please come home. We can work this out. Yes, we made mistakes, but that's what families do. We forgive each other. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Is that what you want? To make us sick with worry?" I added it to my documentation folder and kept unpacking. The next day, my lawyer called. "They tried to report you for theft," she said. "The police laughed them out of the station when they saw the evidence. But be careful. They're getting desperate." I glanced out my window at the security camera Kingsley had installed. I'm ready for them. Pearl's next Instagram post was a throwback photo of us as kids. Missing my sister. Wish she'd realize what she's throwing away. Family is forever. The comments were brutal. Didn't you steal her student loan money? Weren't you just bragging about your shopping sprees last week? Pretty sure family doesn't financially abuse family. She deleted it within minutes. That evening, I got a notification from my bank. They were trying to open a new credit card in my name again. The fraud alert blocked it instantly. Your father called the electric company, Valeria texted. Tried to get them to put the bill back in your name. They refused. I smiled, remembering all the times they told me I couldn't survive without them. Now they were the ones struggling to keep the lights on. Rachel sent me one final screenshot for the day. Mom's latest social media post, "Sometimes the people you help the most hurt you the worst, but we're still praying for our daughter to come to her senses." A mother's love is unconditional. I closed my laptop and looked around my new apartment. The walls were bare, boxes still scattered around, but it felt more like home than that house ever had. My phone buzzed with a voicemail notification from Pearl. "You just destroyed this family." No, I thought. They destroyed it themselves. I just stopped paying the bills. I was carrying groceries up to my apartment when I saw them. Mom, Dad, and Pearl standing in the parking lot next to their car. My heart stopped, then started racing. "Grace!" Mom called out, already rushing toward me, her face streaked with tears. "Finally! We've been looking everywhere." I dropped my groceries inside my door and stepped back out, closing it firmly behind me. Kingsley appeared from his office, phone in hand. "Everything okay here?" he asked, but his thumb was already moving over the keypad, calling security. "This is a family matter," Dad said sharply. "Please leave us." "I'm staying," Kingsley replied, leaning against the wall, a solid, reassuring presence. Mom reached for my arm. I stepped back, recoiling. "Don't touch me." "Grace, honey, you're being ridiculous," she said, her voice taking on that sickly sweet tone I knew so well. "Let's just go home and talk about this." "Home?" I laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. "You mean the house you can't afford without me? How's that mortgage payment working out?" Dad's face darkened, a flush spreading across his neck. "We raised you better than this. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done to me," I corrected, my voice cold and steady. "The loans in my name. The credit cards. My stolen student fund." Pearl stepped forward, her bravado faltering. "It wasn't stealing. I needed that money for my business. A business that failed in 3 months while I worked 2 jobs to pay for your shopping sprees," I shot back, the years of resentment finally boiling over. "We're your family." Mom's voice cracked dramatically. "You can't just abandon us. Watch me." 2 security guards rounded the corner. Kingsley nodded at them. "You need to leave," one guard said to my parents. "We're not going anywhere without our daughter." Dad growled, his face purple with rage. "Your daughter?" I pulled out my phone. "Let's talk about your daughter. Let's talk about the 3 years of bank statements showing how you used me. The forged loan documents. The credit fraud. Should I call the police and show them?" Mom's face went white. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," I challenged, my eyes blazing. "I have copies of everything. Every lie. Every theft. Every manipulation. We gave you a roof over your head." Dad shouted, desperate. "No," I retorted, my voice rising in fury. I gave you a roof, and cars, and vacations, and Pearl's shopping addiction. I paid for everything while you cried poverty and lived like royalty." "It wasn't like that," Pearl protested weakly, tears in her own eyes. "Really? Should we pull up your Instagram? All those posts about your shopping sprees and fancy restaurants while I ate ramen for dinner?" The security guards moved closer, their presence a silent threat. "Last warning," one said. "Leave now or we call the police." "Grace." Mom tried one last time, tears streaming down her face, a desperate, broken sob. "Please, we can't manage without you." "That sounds like a you problem." My voice was ice cold, devoid of any warmth. "I'm done managing your lives. Done funding your lifestyle. Done being your personal ATM. After everything we sacrificed," Dad started, but I cut him off. "The only thing you sacrificed was my trust. And if you ever try to contact me again, if you ever try to use my name for anything, I'll press charges for fraud. I have enough evidence to put you all away." "You'd send your own parents to jail?" Pearl gasped, utterly aghast. "You'd steal from your own daughter?" I shot back. Mom started sobbing dramatically, leaning into Dad who was still purple with rage. Pearl just stood there, finally seeming to understand the magnitude of what they'd done. "Get out," I said quietly, firmly. "Get out and never come back." The security guard stepped forward, and finally, my family started backing away. "This isn't over." Dad called over his shoulder, his voice filled with impotent fury. "Yes, it is," I replied, watching them retreat to their car. "Your karma arrived. It just came riding in under my name." They drove away, Mom still crying, Pearl looking back through the window, a mix of shock and dawning horror on her face. I waited until their car disappeared before my legs started shaking, the adrenaline finally draining out of me. Kingsley touched my shoulder gently. "You okay?" "No," I admitted, my voice a whisper. "But I will be." Back in my apartment, I sat down and opened my laptop. First, I emailed my lawyer with a detailed account of what just happened. Then, I checked my bank accounts. All secure. No new attempts at access. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "How'd it go?" "Exactly as expected," I replied. "Tears, threats, guilt trips. The usual." "You're free now," she texted back. Really free. I looked around my small apartment at the life I was building for myself. No more funding their luxuries. No more crying poverty while they lived large. No more guilt trips and manipulation. Pearl's last voice message played in my head. "You just destroyed this family." No, I thought. I just stopped letting them destroy me. My phone buzzed again. An email notification. "Mom trying one last time. You'll regret this. Family is forever." I clicked delete without reading further and blocked her new email address. They were right about one thing. Family is forever. But sometimes, forever needs to end. The real estate listing popped up in my email, * foreclosure. Beautiful family home, * below was a photo of my old house, looking smaller and shabbier than I remembered. They couldn't keep up with the payments, Valeria said over coffee a few months later. The bank's taking it next week. I stirred my latte, surprised by my lack of emotion. Where are they living now? Your parents moved into a small apartment. Pearl's couch surfing with friends. She paused. They tried to use your name for a rental application last week, and the fraud alert stopped them cold. Again. She smiled. The system you set up is working perfectly. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Got the promotion. Dinner tonight to celebrate? Absolutely, I replied. My treat. I could afford treats now. Without 3 extra people draining my accounts. I'd paid off my legitimate debts and even started a savings account. The money that used to fund their lifestyle now funded my future. Oh, Valeria said, pulling out some papers. The investigation into those fraudulent credit cards is complete. The company's agreed to clear your name entirely. I took the documents, remembering how scared I'd been when I first discovered those cards. Now they were just paper, powerless. At work that afternoon, I got an unexpected visit. Pearl stood awkwardly by my desk, looking thinner and less polished than before. Security called up, I said coldly. You have 2 minutes. I got a job, she blurted out, a real one, full-time. And I'm seeing a therapist. She twisted her hands together. She's helping me understand what we did to you. Mom and Dad won't go to therapy. They still think you're the problem. She swallowed hard. But I know better now, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't pay back my student loan money. I know. She pulled out an envelope. This is my first paycheck. It's not much, but I want you to have it. To start paying you back. I looked at the envelope, but didn't take it. Keep it, I said. Consider it the cost of learning who our parents really are. Grace, your 2 minutes are up. She left the envelope anyway. I shredded it without opening it. That evening at dinner, Rachel raised her glass. To freedom. To consequences, I added, clinking glasses. Speaking of consequences, she said, did you see your mom's latest Facebook post? I hadn't. I'd blocked them all months ago. Rachel showed me her phone. Missing my daughter every day. Sometimes the hardest thing is accepting that toxic people need to be left behind, even if they're family. Boundaries, but just self-care. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my wine. The irony. The comments are savage, Rachel grinned. Everyone knows the truth now. Back home, I found a letter from my lawyer. The last attempt by my parents to access my accounts had resulted in a formal cease and desist order. Any further attempts would trigger automatic legal action. I added the letter to my closure file, the same one that held all the evidence of their fraud. Not because I needed it anymore, but as a reminder of why I'd done what I did. My phone buzzed with a text from Kingsley. Your dad was asking about you at the coffee shop down the street. Want me to warn them? No need, I replied. They can't hurt me anymore. I walked to my window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was learning to live without their safety net, without their personal bank, without me. My therapist had asked me last week if I felt guilty. I didn't. They'd spent 3 years teaching me that family meant sacrifice, but they'd never specified it had to be mine. A final text came through from Pearl's new number. The house sells tomorrow. Mom's crying about your old room. Says she keeps waiting for you to come home. I didn't respond, but I thought about that room. The place where I'd planned my escape, where I'd discovered their lies, where I'd finally found the strength to save myself. Home was different now. It was this small apartment with its paid-up rent. It was dinner with Rachel, celebrating her promotion. It was coffee with Valeria, planning my financial future. It was Kingsley checking in to make sure I was safe. I opened my banking app and smiled at my growing savings account. Then I opened my calendar and booked a vacation. My first real one, paid for with my own money. Let them cry over my empty room. I was too busy filling my new life. Some people say revenge doesn't bring peace. They're wrong. Sometimes revenge is just another word for freedom. And freedom that feels like finally coming home.